أساساً؟
أنا عايش.
N'a pas revenir. Plan punk, plan pas. Mais nous sommes plus forts que toutes les armées du monde.
A devastating take on Tunisian society 10 years after the Arab Spring. Harka is the story of a young man trying to make ends meet in increasingly desperate circumstances. As the film hits French cinemas, its director, Lotfy Nathan, joins us in the studio to tell us more. Lotfy, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Harka was screened in the Un Certain Regard sidebar section at the Cannes Film Festival. It was critically acclaimed, and actor Adam Bessa won the award for Best Performance for his portrayal of protagonist Ali. Now, tell us a bit more about this central character. Who is he, and what did you want him to convey?
Well, Ali was initially the film was going to be based on Mohamed Bouazizi, and enough time went by in developing the film that we had this retrospect in the of the aftermath of the revolution. So it made sense to contemporize that character. So really, he's an amalgamation of people that I encountered there, and I think the aim was to make someone who represented a generational struggle there.
He certainly carries a lot of contemporary Tunisian concerns within him. Well, let's get a look at the film. This is Harka.
سامحني إذا كان ما تخلصوش من هنا لآخر الشهر باش يعملوا لكم عقلة على أملاككم.
ليه مظلوم؟ أعصابي هذه مش تدمر.
Now, Harka in Tunisian dialect has come to mean different things, but one of those things is illegal immigration, the waves of young people who cross the Mediterranean in search of a better future. So we see the anger and frustration that pushes those young people to do that in your film. How do you see the achievements of the Arab Spring 10 years on?
I think that there's still a lot of frustration there. I'm an outsider when I was making this story. So really, what I tried to get was the personal subjective take from people in this small locality in Tunisia where the film is set. And I think there's still a great deal of frustration and fatigue after the revolution. I think that effort is so taxing on a society, and for there to be this disappointment afterwards. And I think that's what I tried to illustrate in the film. Without spoiling it, it's conflicted. The aftermath.
Do you get the impression they feel that politics have failed them?
I think a lot of people do feel that there, but I can't see generally. I mean, I tried to just focus on the character and keep this as a character portrait.
It's true that there's a huge personal dimension. Let's take a look at this clip of the film where we get an insight into some of the emotional toll that struggle takes.
تعرفوا الإحساس هذا؟ كي تغزل الحاجة وتشوف لي هي تنجم تضرك. كيما كي تبدا واقف على قنطرة عالية توصل للثنية اللوطة.
Now, in that clip, we hear a young girl's voiceover. That's Alisa, Ali's sister. She's a real counterpoint to all the male characters in this film. Ali, his friends, the various authorities. What does this film tell us about the female experience in contemporary Tunisia?
Well, I think there's something to the fact that she's the younger sister is still in school and has this hope for the future, and her older brother Ali is quite resigned when we first meet him. But again, it's not. There's not so much of a broad comment on the female perspective in Tunisia, and that wasn't really the aim. You know, it's really, the way I see it is always more focused on the character story and the family dynamic. But I would say that she is the source of reason and rational thinking, you know, and she's kind of observing her brother in decline.
Yeah, it's a very interesting complementary viewpoint. Now, as an Egyptian American, you're not Tunisian, it's not your home terrain. You mentioned that you have an outsider's perspective. What do you think that brought to the film specifically?
Well, for me, I came from a background in documentary, so I wanted to focus pretty specifically on this one town where the film was set. But I think there's maybe I kind of romanticized a bit, you know, even the landscape itself, which became sort of like helped to inform the aesthetic of the film, which has these kind of Western elements sometimes. You know, I'm sure people there are more used to that, but for me, I've kind of was enamored with the look of it, so I tried to use all of that.
It's definitely visible in the cinematography, that inspiration. And we're going to another new release here now in France. You Will Not Have My Hate was inspired by one man's open letter to the terrorists who murdered his wife in the Bataclan in Paris in November 2015. It's just one of a handful of French features dealing with that dark chapter in modern history. Olivia Bizot and Catherine Kadir-Clifford take a look.
Vendredi soir, vous avez volé la vie d'un être d'exception. L'amour de ma vie. La mère de mon fils.
Antoine Léris's memoir, You Will Not Have My Hate, began as an open letter to his wife's killers, the terrorists behind the Bataclan concert hall attack on the 13th of November 2015. The ensuing memoir went on to become an international bestseller, now adapted for the big screen by Killian Wiedoff.
Nous sommes deux, mon fils et moi.
For French actor Pierre Deladonchamp, accepting the role carried a sense of duty and respect.
Like most of us, I was terrorized and traumatized by what had happened. But I instantly loved the way Antoine Léris spoke out. It inspired my respect. And to see his resilience and the intelligence in his words so soon after losing his wife, he was incredible. So it was deeply important for me to live up to what he represented in my eyes.
It's just one of several recent French films to shine a spotlight on the November 2015 attacks.
Tout s'est effacé de ma mémoire.
Alice Vinocourt's film Revoir Paris focuses on survivors meeting after the attack and piecing together their memories.
Après cette nuit, elle est aussi un peu particulière pour moi puisque mon petit frère.
The night was also quite significant for me because my little brother was at the Bataclan. He survived, but I was very inspired by the discussions I had with him during the days and months after the attack. Thanks to him, I was able to meet a lot of victims and to discover their world. I tried to be faithful to their stories and to make a film about their resilience.
De faire un film de résilience.
November follows the Anti-Terrorism Brigade, reimagining the 5-day investigation after the attacks.
On est évidemment préparé pour ça, mais ceux pour qui la charge émotionnelle est trop importante peuvent se mettre sur le côté.
I liked the idea of looking at the shockwaves that stemmed from the event rather than the event itself, to focus on a group that during all of the chaos came together and found solutions, rather than looking for any sort of sense in obscene events.
The attacks were the worst peacetime massacre in modern French history, a subject sure to be explored again and again within the country's cinema scene.
So, Lotfy, these are fictionalized accounts of events that were very recent, very tragic events. And as you mentioned, your background's in documentary film. And despite your writing, your artistic choices on Harka, we see that authenticity, that it's rooted in a real life scenario. How do you think cinema helps us understand what's happening socially and politically in the world around us?
I think it allows for, without having to be too on the nose about those things in movies, there's all kinds of approaches to it. I mean, there's satire and there's parables, and I think, even the attitude, how dark films get, I think, is a reflection on the time. So I think it's really very essential.
Certainly very thought-provoking. Thank you very much for being with us this week. We'll wrap up the show with a master of cinema who's often been cited as a key influence on filmmakers today. That is Japanese director Akira Kurosawa. The Cinémathèque Française here in Paris is now staging a retrospective of his work, a selection of films spanning 5 decades and highlighting the director's dark humour and his deft handling of human drama in all of its forms. That's on until the end of November. We'll leave you with a preview. Otherwise, remember, you can get more movie news on our website and our social media feeds. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.